Welcome to the time of review as we seek to solidify what we've read this past week and put it back into the meta-narrative. As we look over our reading from this past week, we see that Peter has encountered the Lord in understanding that God has given the gospel to the Gentiles. We have the church in Antioch in Syria sends out its first mission team. You have the death of James, and Peter's imprisoned. You have that first mission trip that's taken by Paul and Barnabas, and you have the second team that goes out, actually splits into two other teams, that second missionary journey. So what is going on here? You have to think about what is taking place at the very beginning of the story in the patriarch era. What was God's design and desire for Abraham? He promised Abraham, I'm going to bless those who bless you, curse those who curse you, and in you all the families of the earth will be blessed. So what is God's desire all along? It's for his name to be proclaimed amongst all the nations, which would include the Gentiles. So what you have here is you have God fulfilling the promises that he set in motion several thousand years prior to this. Something else you also see is the issues that are the challenges that are faced head on when you enfold Gentile background believers into the household of faith, because they're struggling with, so what do you do about circumcision? So do you make the Gentiles circumcised? How do you handle that? How do you enfold these new people, these Gentile background believers, into the household of faith? And so Paul begins to address this in the book of Galatians, also having to do with 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, what's going on there. Well, he's having to address the issues. Why? Because as the people come to faith in Christ, they come in and they begin to think, oh, well, Christ is coming back immediately. And so they begin to they're lax. They quit their jobs in hope and expectation of this coming one. And in fact, they're depending on other people to take care of them and meet their needs. So what you see is the church has always been messy. That has always been messy because God is continually bringing people into the household of faith. And it's not an easy transition. It offers lots of challenges, lots of opportunities to exercise grace and compassion to other people. So what you see is the same grace and compassion that God shows to his people. It's the same grace and compassion that he expects us to show to those whom he's bringing in our midst. So as you think about and process your reading, think about the problems that are addressed in Paul's epistles. Why? Why does he address them? In the same way, we're all broken people. We're all broken people trying to figure out, how do we fit into the household of faith? How does God begin to transform us? What is the place and the role of the body? What is the role of doctrine in our spiritual formation process? All that God has done in the past is the same thing he does with people today.